So it's end of the year, and this time around I take out all my paintings, I take out all my sketchbooks, and I flip through them, feel great about them, feel good about them, or become my severe critic and beat myself to death with all the harsh comments. So that's what I do. So I want to take you through that journey as well. For those who have followed me this year, I thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I appreciate your support. I also want to let you know that I would be perhaps adding few more playlists because there are other things that I do, other creative things that I do, and I hope you will like those as well. So it's end of 2024, and in the month of December, generally I go look back and I try to revisit, sort of celebrate all the work that I have done. So today I'm sharing one of my sketchbooks, and the idea behind keeping a sketchbook for me is threefold. One, you can always go after things or explore or experiment with. So that's what a sketchbook for me is for. And the second goal with my sketchbook is to use of the gaps in time. Like when we are sitting in front of the TV, or we are traveling, we're on a flight, or it's random 15 minutes gap that you find. I'm generally surprised at the end of the year, like how much do I get done during those small little gaps which would otherwise be just lost. And usually these sketchbook subjects are just spur of the moment, so if I'm sitting in the car waiting for someone, and if I have a sketchbook with me, I just open it up, and whatever I see in front of me, I would just draw that. Or sometimes it is more of I want to practice some trees, and so I would just look at the tree that I can see around myself and just try to draw that without worrying much about how it will turn out, and whether it'll get messed up or anything, with reasonable amount of seriousness. So that's the general mode of when I engage with my sketchbook. Finally, the sketchbook also helps me hone my composition skills. I mean, this is a little bit more nuanced because that does not seem like a direct fallout of it, but I see the sketchbook more as a continuous painting, and especially one page which you do in various settings without much planning. So it's a little open-ended, and sometimes the composition experiments are very surprising and delightful. So I really enjoy that aspect of the sketchbook. So many times I use this Canson book, which is made of watercolor paper sheets, and they are just bound on one side. And this gives me an option of using watercolors or using some markers, and then I don't have to worry that anything will spill on the back side. Also, I just sketch on the right side of the sketchbook. So this is page 1, just exploring with sketching some people. I love to sketch people, and I think I need to incorporate more of this in my final painting, so that's the goal. So that's another thing, whatever I do in my sketchbook is forward looking, so you would most likely see these elements in my future paintings. All these sketches were done in different settings without much planning, and I start the page thinking that I'd just do walking people, and then there would be just one something else that would attract my attention, and I would just stick that in the middle of the page. And that's the beauty of the sketchbook. You can do just whatever you want. So this is another just walking people, and with a tree. Tree is another obsession I have with pen and ink. And that's another thing, like there are things that I like to do in watercolor, and there are other things that I like to do in pen and ink. So trees is one that I love doing in pen and ink. Just the detail that really attracts me. So this page I felt was a little bit incomplete. I mean, I could fill a few more things in, but what the heck, if I moved on, I moved on. So I have an architectural background, so buildings are my obvious choice. But I do love drawing people while they're doing different activities. And of course, as you know, the florals are my, another subject that I really enjoy. So this page was again more people and florals, and I looked at a automobile and I wanted to stick that in here. So liked how this turned out, and more close-up flowers. I guess that was the goal. I wasn't that satisfied with this piece, but but that's what the sketchbook is for. Like, there are things that you would like, there are things that you want. Yeah, so I went shopping and looking at all these different shoes, and I wanted to draw them. And I think this was in this was in February, if I'm not wrong, and the spring collection was coming in, and while some of the boots were still on sale. And of course, I was thinking about flowers and planning some of my subjects for the future painting, so that's why you see some flower close-ups as well. And who would think of doing flowers and shoes on the same page? But that's what the sketchbook lets you do, and you don't think much, and then it doesn't look half bad. I mean, it still looks good to my eyes. Like, I feel good looking at this after a year. This was of course some small ideas that I wanted to experiment with, and don't like this page that much, but like, I can see some obvious errors here, but like I said, that's what a sketchbook does to you. It helps you let go of mistakes. And if you know what I mean, like, if you were doing a painting and if you made a mistake, you would just straight go for the bin and just throw it away, or but the sketchbook forces to keep that. And sometimes it's not a bad idea to get reminded of your errors. And so there's a perspective error in this sketch, and it's a glaring one. And whenever I flip through the sketchbook, I'm reminded of it. And in a way, that's kind of getting reprimanded, that, don't do this again. So, yeah. So here are some rendering practice of different textures. And sometimes, I don't know if you experience that, you wake up and your hands would not be very friendly and they would not do what you want them to do. In those days, it's a good idea to do some of these practices, and those just bring the agility in your fingers back. And this is some trees with branches, which tells me this was done before spring. So I'm pretty sure I was looking at this page while I was drawing it. More trees and more textures. Looking back, just seems like a trial page. And like I said, every page doesn't have to look that great, and that's totally fine in a sketchbook. More people doing activities here, and some close-up with hands. That's another thing I love to do, or I think I want to do more of, is doing close-ups of hands and feet and, human elements. And liked how this house turned out. And I also like to write things in between, and I do not know why. But, the only way to, grow yourself is to allow yourself to do what your heart tells you. And that's why the sketchbook is so important. This is another page that I would say is in between. It did not turn out as great. And but like I said, it's all okay. And it's more trees. I'm sure I would have done a better job on a different day, but it also gives you a view that no matter what your skills, there'd be days that you just do shabby work. I wanted to experiment with some reflective surfaces. So hence the articles, and those are fun to draw, like especially in pen and ink. And I can't recommend enough doing pen and ink, because pen and ink is a pleasure to do. How much I can't tell you how rewarding it is when it is done. More people over here. And like I said, this was on my good day. I remember this was from a photograph, and I'm so glad how it turned out, and no perspective errors here. So what does this tell me? Like, I couldn't have developed a good sense of perspective in a matter of days. It's just certain days you're just more focused and more aligned with what you're doing. And those are the days when you do great work. So this I really love. This not so much, but this was an experimental piece, and this has an error again. So, again, it's just something that I get reminded of, and, an artist should get used to that. This one I really love, and I was planning on experimenting and developing this into a painting, and I'm sure this will come about. So this is a rooftop view of an old town in India, and one of my favorite historic towns of Jaipur. So this is an experimental piece which I'm working on, and making this into a full-fledged painting. Another piece with small articles and some people and some trials. No complaints here. It was a piece in my journey. Loved how this came out. Like I said, drawing people doing activities is just thrilling for me, and I'm sure that these elements will make their ways into my final paintings soon. Another architectural element, and I think this tree came out okay. I loved this page, except I did not like how this turned out. Like I said, I love writing small notes and some thoughts that come to my mind. And, this is one of those pages which I thought was going absolutely great until I added these two things. But yeah, so Sketchbook is about giving a view of your journey and how your growth happened. So it will show some errors along the way. This was a good idea. This was an idea that I was working on, but I did not like how it came out. But I believe the idea was good. So I'm sure this will turn into a full-fledged painting one day. But as far as this experimentation was concerned, I would say it was just average. Some more detailed pieces here. No complaints on this page. Liked how the elephant turned out, and these are these are flowers that I really love. They especially grow in tropical zones in the world, subtropical zones. This grows in India. It's called the Queen of Night, and these have a very beautiful aroma, and we had lots of these in our garden when we grew up. And it's so beautiful when at night. And I don't know if for those who have followed the channel, I get obsessed with certain flowers. Lotus is one of them, and Queen of Night is another one. And it's breathtakingly beautiful at night, and I hope one day I'm able to capture that night view of this plant. So I keep drawing it, and the idea behind is to keep working on capturing its true beauty. This was a composition that I was trying to achieve, and I'm not sure if I'm completely happy with it, but there are parts that make me happier. I like this juxtaposition here, and there are parts that are not to my satisfaction, but it's an idea that I could work on. And then I started to do some birds, and hence you see some flowers and birds together. Maybe I was thinking of doing some paintings which would combine them together. So again, I think this was a good practice page. Rose is always a challenge, I mean, no matter how many times you do it, there's always something to learn when you are doing a rose. This was just practicing different kind of leaves, nothing special here. I believe this is one of the ugly pages in my sketchbook. I don't want to look at it, so I'm just going to flip right through it. Liked how this one turned out, and wanted to do a few more people with close-ups of expression and faces. So that's what this page was about. And wanted to also do some of random composition with flowers and people together. So I think I really love this page, the way it's done. Not so happy with this woman sketch here, but the entire composition kind of invigorates me when I look back, and it makes me want to do a full painting that looks like this. So on this page I was trying out some sceneries, and as you can tell, they're a little bit influenced by Japanese art, which by the way is so exceptionally beautiful. I mean, sometimes I look at those paintings and I'm just completely captivated. So I definitely do more of these in future. This is one of the pages that I'm proud of. I really loved how the peacocks came out and how the other elements play into this page. And yeah, no complaints here, and I believe this was a winner for me. This was another thought experiment with plants and women together, and some core questions. Roots are the world we don't see, and at what point do we give up the old? These are just random thoughts I have while I'm sketching, and I just want to put them down also while I'm doing it. So one way that helps me is it takes me right back to the moment when I was drawing these, and sometimes those thoughts are invaluable because they would trigger some ideas and develop into some pieces that I want to do. This is just sketching more women and some facial expressions and some standing poses as well. So just a generic page. And that's it. So as far as I'm concerned, Sketchbook is my powerhouse. It's a place for idea generation for me. So I hope this makes sense, and I hope this will motivate you to have a sketchbook as well.